Let's move on over here to the Create New button, which is going to create ourselves a new project. And let's ignore all of this for right now. We'll cover that in a future tutorial. So let's just go down to the Create button right here and click that. And might not be this exact dimension because that's kind of set in that other screen, so whatever comes up is fine. What we're looking at is sort of what's around this. So Adobe InDesign is laid out in this sort of view. This view is completely customizable, but this should be the default view. If it isn't the default view, go up to Essentials, then go ahead and hit Reset Essentials. And if maybe it's on one of these other ones, just click on Essentials and then Reset Essentials. And it'll bring it to this view so we can all kind of follow along at the exact same pace. So if we take a look around, on the left side here, we have a whole bunch of tools. Basically, these are going to be the interface between us and our document. By clicking on these tools, we'll be able to create things, we'll be able to delete things, we'll be able to create shapes and move those around, and basically we'll be able to create elements that we can add assets, text, stuff like that too. So there's a bunch of tools here, and again, we'll go over those in a future tutorial, but that's what's on the left side is your tools panel. On the top up here, we have basically the settings that control the tools. So whenever we create a text element or something like that, you'll see that once we click on any of these tools, all of these above settings change. It's as if these are attached to the tools. They just put them on the top. So if we click the text button right here, which it is going to just create text if I type out here, you'll see that there's a whole bunch of settings up here like coloring and does it follow a style and how does the indentation work, stuff like that. It's just all the stuff up here so that you can customize it to whatever you want. Then above that, we have the settings of the program. So through here, you'll be able to adjust basically anything inside of the program and how we interact with the program. So for file right here, all this is going to do is it's just going to save files, open up files, print, stuff like that. It's going to be manipulating the file itself. Over here in edit, it's going to be editing things both inside the project and inside the program itself. A very important place to go is preferences down here, and we're going to cover that in a future tutorial because they are so important. But the preferences are basically the sort of the settings of the entire program itself. So down here, there is the preferences tab. Just understand it's always under edit, no matter which Adobe program you use. Over here is the layout, which is going to control just that, the layout. It's going to control things like columns, margins, and creating different sorts of guides. Then you have type, and that is an entire section just for text, because text is really, really important in printed documents. Over here we have object, which is going to control things like the shape. We can control paths, we can control sort of curves, stuff like that to basically any object that isn't text. Next is going to be table. This is sort of a unique category, and that's why they've created their entire own little section here, because it is organized data in a grid-like form. So it's not an object in that sense, and it's not text in that sense. So what we get is this table feature. Over here is the view, and that's kind of going to describe the way that we see the entire program, mainly dealing with this down here, the window where we can actually view our work. And then over here is window, which is going to allow us to edit and add, delete different panels, which are these sort of things over here. We'll cover the panels in a future tutorial as well. This is just where you would find them to create them and stuff like that. And then help, which is just sort of the documentation on the program. You can click InDesign help and it'll bring you to the online help guide where you can look up things. And this is also where we went to find like information about the program and then information about the your subscription to Adobe. Now, on the right side, which we've already sort of touched on, is our panels. They are just set here by default. Like I said, this is completely customizable. So if we wanted the panels over here, we can move the panels over here. But they are just by default going to be on the right. So that's where we're going to describe them. Like I said, you can go up to Essentials, Reset Essentials to reset it back to the normal. And you'll see that the libraries was actually here. And I don't really like the library. So what I do is I drag it here and then I just delete it because it takes up a lot of room and I don't use that feature, which is exactly, it's okay to do something like that. You're not going to use all the features in the program, so set up your workspace the way that you want. That's actually going to be the next tutorial, is we're going to be talking about that. So anyway, back over here to the layers and the sort of panels tab. The layers tab is going to just sort of control the layers, and the pages will control how many pages you are. And so if you have like 45 pages, you can kind of see them all right here. The rest of this, again, we're going to describe a little bit later, so just understand that this is where all of the panels are going to go by default. Other than that, that is really the program, just sort of broken up into three main areas: your tools, your settings, and then your panels. That is basically the extent of the entire Adobe suite is just sort of those three elements combined together to affect the view, which is right here in the center.